I always say behind your back that there's never a dull moment with Mr. Rajiv Luthra. And again, behind that joking exterior, very jolly nature, is a very seasoned professional who's in his own way very astute, very meticulous, and has built an institution. How would you describe Mr. Rajiv Luthra? If you had to describe, because I think you know yourself best, or maybe some people who have been with you in 25, 30 years, your family. How would you describe Mr. Rajiv Luthra first? And second is, what was the impact of your involvement in McKinsey in kind of taking Luthra and Luthra to the next level?
It's in any situation, if you can find some humor, that makes the whole story go down well, much better. Even if you're teaching somebody, even if you're trying to get some point across in a negotiation, if you just bring some humor in it, it makes the whole story lighter. That's my experience. And it makes things happen much better, even in court. Even when you're negotiating or trying to cut a deal or get some stuff sorted out. So that's the way I see. To me, I don't want to say it comes naturally, but I do want to say that I have never ever looked at something and said, this is the end of the world now. For me, life is all about experiences. Life is all about, and as many experiences as I can get, I believe I've lived a fuller life, even bad experiences. I've had one recently, but again, I've thanked everybody that making me live a fuller life. So to describe myself is a very tough sort of ask, but I don't know how to describe myself really. And now coming to McKinsey, so I was having a chat with Adil, who's a very dear friend. And that time he was chairperson of McKinsey India. And I knew him from his previous avatar at the Harvard Business School. And when I was, so I didn't tell you this, sorry. So after I set up my law firm, I realized I had really learned no law. Because at our time, all law was a bottle of rum was attendance and etc. So then I went for 7 summers to Harvard Law School to learn project finance, to learn M&A. No school in India taught it. To learn international trade, to learn negotiation. And I came back and I would teach my whole, which I call my family, and teach them. So when I was around 40, 50, 51, Adil, I said, Adil, what should be the next steps? He says, Lutz, let's come in, let's look at your current situation. And he met most of our partners and even the associates in the firm and said, Raji, you have seen many, his statement was, Raji, you have seen many, many organizations around the world, but I've never seen such a happy one. What you've been able to do is mind-boggling. And people worship you. So I said, no, that's not the intent. He says, now here's what you do. So he gave me, apart from a long story, he said 3 things. Start moving the next gen up. 1, give them specific tasks to do. 2, give them powers. 3, don't look over their shoulder. 4, watch them after a while and then counsel them. And that was a good, then I went to Harvard Law School to do the leadership program there, a law firm management. And we had very, very senior leaders from all over the world in law firms. And it was a lovely experience. I spent 2 weeks there and came back. And a similar input I got from there. So I came back, I appointed 3 people in the firm who I thought could replace me or get the next leadership. Unfortunately, one of them passed away. The second one, unfortunately, left the firm for whatever reason. We can go into that another day. And the third one just recently left the firm. So that's where we are. And I'm back to, I won't say square one. There's been a lot of learning and lots and lots of wonderful souls. I'm happy to tell you And that really warms my heart that in the last about 6-7 months, we've had 138 new people join the firm without a headhunter. We've had nearly 13 to 14 ex-Lutherites come back voluntarily. To me, that really makes me feel, I don't want to put it lightly, but ghar wapsi in the real order. And, coming on their own and saying, sir, what can we do and how can we help? And unfortunately, we have this old tradition where I'm still called sir. And a number of them still come and touch feet. It's very embarrassing, I must tell you. So very quickly, the first day I was at Harvard Law School, my first lecture was by a gentleman called David Wilkins, who's a very, very close friend now, and he also lives in my house when he comes to India. So I had walked into class being a good quality Indian student, and there were people with their feet on the table, they were having their Cokes. That was after a long time I was seeing a Coke can, by the way, and having their hamburgers with chips and this, that, and the other. And that professor walked in, and everybody kept sitting like that. I stood up to say, good morning, sir. I was about to say, but nobody was saying anything. So then I quietly sat down. After the class finished, David Wilkins called me. He says, why did you stand up? So I explained to him, Guru, Sishya, etc., etc., etc. And he said, in fact, because you're my first professor, I was going to come and touch your feet. He said, if you had come near me touching my feet, I would have hit you. I thought you were going to attack me. That's how the story is. But I feel very, very happy that and thrilled that this is what's been happening. And those dividends have paid off. And like they say, somebody asked a philosopher that who is a good person? And you decide that in 1 minute. So the answer was who has old friends. Of course, he used the word knocker. I don't want to use that. Old people they work with. So to me, I come trumps on that one. Because Anurag sitting right there, old friend, samosa khaya tha sare mere. Or I was telling you, a large number of our people are still with the firm.
On a very serious note, Mr. Luthra, you brought Luthra and Luthra to this position of preeminence in the top 5 legal firms in India. Your own personality is towering and you're known in the profession. Now, as you script the journey further for Luthra and Luthra, what are your plans and what should we expect from you and your law firm in the next 2 to 3 years? Give us a sense of what's in your head as you plan Luthra and Luthra's next phase of life, so to say.
So I'll just back up a little bit. For me, technology has been a natural. I actually learned coding self-taught in 85, well before I set up my firm. I've written a few programs, which 1 or 2 are even in existence today. And I wrote them in a language called DBase 2, which then I started using DBase 4, which is like getting to God. Then came the Foxbase compiler. So I've been learning from there, and I registered, just to give you a few more data points, I registered luthra.com.net.org in 93. It wasn't even heard of at that time, at least in India. And I started a knowledge management system in 92. Bits of the software I wrote myself. And I believe in simplicity. I give you a few examples. See, the most indisciplined folks on earth are lawyers. And I don't mean it lightly, because a lot of them feel that God comes after them. Now, to discipline them was always a challenge because they are very good at arguing. They will find an excuse. They will try and do many things. So I will have with these, in my earlier days, I would have these so-called council committee meetings with even the office boys would be part of. And the idea was to understand, how to improve things, how to get things working. Now I want to come to the next level. So now you asked about the future. We are now, as we speak, we are building a state-of-the-art artificial intelligence, big data analysis, the whole 9 yards. And again, simplicity is the core. For example, today, Anurag, in your office, you have either a biometrics entry or somebody looks at your finger or print, etc., etc. We have a cell phone SIM given to every person in our office. So, moment they enter the office, if their cell phone connects to the Wi-Fi of the office, attendance is marked. Yes, you can send your cell phone with your friend. So, there's also a camera at the lift, which then matches the time, face, and you're done. So like this, now then we have these huge performance parameters, this, that, and the other. End of the month, end of the year, we fill 16, 17 pages of appraisal forms. All of this is there in your servers. Just a little bit of what I call hub software has to be written, which straddles, and you get all the information real time. So why can't we have a dashboard on each of our screens to tell us our performance parameters real time? Whether it's attrition, whether it's getting new clients, whether it's billing, whether it's attendance, tardiness, sending bills on time, whatever. We set those parameters and then you know it real time. So there's no argument. So now, taking a cue from there, what is happening in the world today, if you look at it? So we've built a special team of 3 partners, excluding me, but that's a big interest for me. So that's 4 partners and about 7 youngsters, where we are examining this whole story of Internet of Things. This whole story of data privacy, public, private, etc. I'll give an example. Today, where in the world is any legislator, whether democracy or otherwise, thinking what should happen? Driverless cars are a reality. If that hits you, God forbid, you break a leg, who will you sue? Has anybody thought of it? I'm sure people have thought of it, but any legislation being done? No. I'll give another example. God forbid, you have serious diabetes and you get these little instruments they stick on your stomach with a little vial with insulin in it, and they are Wi-Fi connected. Your doctor can see anywhere in the world, see your parameters and say, okay, 2 mg on his app, 2 mg insulin. I hack into the app. I punch 200 mg and you pass. Perfect murder. Now, look at what's happening with us. Social media. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but people are very keen to control it. They are thinking of various wonderful things of getting a Reserve Bank of India type regulator for social media. Can you imagine the ridiculousness of it? So we have to, go well. So this team is actually working on even things like legislation, where we don't make much money. It's all an investment by us. But then we are one of the few firms probably in the world that is looking at this space. Second big space is regulation. Everything is going to have a regulator very soon, whether it's airports, whether it's oil. Has anybody thinking about that? Power. Now we've got a specialized team building the knowledge base for regulators. Of course, electricity, other regulators, we already do a lot of work with, and we've done in the past too, and we have a lot of history of that. But those are the kind of things we are doing. Now, international arbitration. So that kind of expertise and focused arbitration lawyers, not ye bhi kar lo, wo bhi kar lo, and 7 ships you sail in. We don't want that.